Marvel fans, we just got some crazy leaks and reports that explain what is going to be happening in the MCU for the next few years. This stuff's really crazy. It all directly has to do with Secret Wars. So in this video, we're going to break it all down. We've got to talk about what's happening with the MCU OGs like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. We've got to talk about the new details on how incredibly important Tom Holland as Spider-Man is to Secret Wars. And we got to talk about what the plan will be for the MCU after Secret Wars with the MCU Reboot. This one's gonna be a juicy one. A lot of new information coming out from insiders and scoopers. First up, let's talk about Robert Downey Jr. returning as Iron Man. Now, the subject of Robert Downey Jr. returning as Iron Man has been a hot topic over the past couple of weeks. This all began with a big Variety article which was talking about Marvel Studios and its relationship with its audience and how things are going downhill pretty badly. And within that article, they talk about a couple of different things, like even shifting away from Kang into Doctor Doom. They also discuss the possibility of bringing the OG Avengers back. Someone like Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, someone like Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, and even someone like Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow. And the subject was made even more crazy when you consider that Joanna Robinson, who is an author of The Reign of Marvel Studios, a big book that recently has made a lot of buzz, she also suggested it was possible for actors like Robert Downey Jr. to return, and she did kind of imply that a lot of what you heard in the Variety article could actually be happening. And then just a couple of days ago, Vanity Fair did a big expose on Robert Downey Jr. and Kevin Feige actually had a quote for them about Robert Downey Jr. returning as Iron Man. Feige said, "We are going to keep that moment and not touch that moment. We all worked very hard for many years to get to that, and we would never want to magically undo it in any way." And this was in reference to the death of Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame, which of course is iconic and was a very good ending for that character after this crazy 10 years of playing that role and being in all the different movies. So the timing of this Vanity Fair article is really interesting because of course there's been a lot of buzz about Robert Downey Jr. returning to the role of Iron Man in the MCU. But as soon as this quote came out, a lot of the insiders and scoopers started suggesting online that although Feige is technically correct and they won't undo the death of Tony Stark from Avengers Endgame, Tony Stark himself is very likely to return as a variant within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Daniel Richtman implied this. My Time to Shine Hello not only said months ago that Robert Downey Jr. had already essentially agreed to return to the MCU, but in a recent Q&A, My Time to Shine Hello did say that the characters of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, of Chris Evans' Captain America, and of Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow would be reintegrated within the Marvel Cinematic Universe via variants. And so this likely means you're getting Tony Stark returning, perhaps being pulled out of time much earlier, like before the snap. That would be similar to what happened to the Loki character in the Loki show, because technically the MCU Loki, the one we saw in all the Avengers movies, he dies at the hands of Thanos in Infinity War. So maybe it'll be something like that, but it's also possible we get Tony Stark from a different universe. We have seen some semblance, or rather a footprint of Tony Stark in the 838 universe because we saw all those Ultron drones. I mean, I guess it's technically possible that those Ultrons were created by somebody else, but a lot of the rumors surrounding that movie had it that this was going to be Tony Stark, that you were going to see a Tony Stark variant, perhaps a superior Iron Man that was either going to be played by Tom Cruise or even maybe Robert Downey Jr. Personally, I think we can look to movies like Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool 3 to see how they're going to handle this. And Deadpool 3 seems really interesting because we've heard a lot of rumors that not only will you get a lot of variants of Deadpool and Wolverine, but you're going to get some really weird ones like Dogpool, maybe even a Wolverine Deadpool hybrid that wears the Deadpool costume but has adamantium claws. Maybe other characters playing those same characters, like a Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. And there's even this crazy rumor that you're gonna get this big portal scene where you're gonna get a ton of Wolverine variants, a ton of Deadpool variants, all showing up Endgame style to like help Wolverine and Deadpool out. So basically, when you put all this together, I think the Vanity Fair article, and I think a lot of the reports that came out even before it, are all talking about the same thing. It seems as though Robert Downey Jr. will come back in some way for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's likely to just come back as a variant of some kind. And considering that they're doing this with Captain America and with Iron Man, I would just love it if they go the way of these guys being villains from other universes, like a version of Tony that's superior Iron Man, that's a little bit more militant and harsh, maybe Hydra Captain America in a universe where he takes control of Hydra and becomes this like ruler of Earth. That would be an absolutely incredible way to utilize these characters, utilize these actors, but not, you know, undo the sacrifices or the story arcs of the characters that we knew in the Infinity Saga. But okay, now let's shift into Tom Holland Spider-Man. This is really interesting. According to my time to shine out low, Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to be the focus of the next 2 Avengers movies. So it seems like we have an answer for how Kevin Feige is essentially going to try to pull off the end of the multiverse saga and these 2 Avengers movies. And he's going to do this by putting us in the perspective of Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Because a lot of the other characters, the newer people that are in the MCU, fans are just not really resonating with them in the same way that they are with Tom Holland Spider-Man. I mean, Tom Holland Spider-Man has been a part of some of the biggest movies within the MCU and has some incredible moments. And I think he did a fantastic job in Spider-Man No Way Home, delivering really emotional aspects of Peter that were, of course, aided by the bombastic nature of the multiverse cracking open and all the fun stuff they did there. But the heart of that movie, it's Tom Holland and his character arc, and that's a huge deal. We've also already heard that Spider-Man 4 is going to be a stepping stone for Avengers Secret Wars. So between Spider-Man 4, the Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars, I think we're going to see a lot of that story take place through the perspective of Tom Holland Spider-Man. Now, I know there was this rumor out there that was apparently from Daniel RPK about how Spider-Man 4 was going to merge the Sony universe with the Marvel universe. Now, My Time to Shine Hello is saying that's not true. She's also saying that Tobey Maguire's not in Spider-Man 4, but that's kind of interesting because she's actually the one that told me a long time ago that Tobey Maguire might show up in that film. Maybe it totally dropped off and he's not going to be in the movie. Maybe he is in the movie as like this top secret kind of thing. It's probably more the case that this was an option and they're not going to move on it, because she did say that Tobey won't be back until Secret Wars. So maybe they had a little cameo thing planned. Maybe Tobey was like, I don't really want to do that. I only want to come back if it's super meaningful. And Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is supposed to be one of the leads of Secret Wars, so that's really interesting. I wonder if he's also going to be leading along with Tom Holland Spider-Man. I mean, that would make a lot of sense. They were great together in Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's also possible that saying that Tom Holland Spider-Man is the focus of Secret Wars in the next 2 Avengers movies, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the lead or one of the main Avengers in Secret Wars. We've heard that he's the lead in the Kang Dynasty. That was reported a long time ago, so that's likely still the case. Who knows for sure if he's also then going to be a big part of Secret Wars? I would hope so, and I think that would be a really smart thing to do. But it's also possible maybe he is sort of hidden or sacrifices himself and comes back in some way at the end of Secret Wars, because there's apparently going to be a portal scene there. But personally for me, this is really interesting. It kind of brings into focus what Marvel Studios is trying to do with this multiversal saga. We've heard that Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to be the quote-unquote chosen one of the 616 universe. This is apparently to do with the new Earth and the fact that the multiverse is still collapsing and will inevitably be destroyed. The TVA is apparently out there saving certain heroes from different universes to bring them into new Earth. And so it's very likely that Tom Holland is going to be the bridge between 616 into the new Earth universe, because I think they're just going to keep doing stuff with Tom Holland Spider-Man. It would just make a lot of sense. fans, and he will be this huge high-profile character and maybe be like one of the only people that remembers the old universe. That would be really interesting. I actually am going to make some theory videos on why Tom Holland Spider-Man might end up being super important to fight against Kang or the Beyonder, or, you know, just be effective within the multiverse. But that's going to be a really nerdy sort of deep dive. That's for a different video. But all we really need to focus on with this report is that Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to be a huge freaking deal for these next two Avengers movies. So I think Spider-Man 4 is also going to be very important for that. And they've picked a brilliant character. Not only do I love Spider-Man, but I love Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. So that's going to be super awesome. That is great. That actually gives me a lot of confidence in what they could do with the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Okay, last thing we need to talk about here, guys, is this idea of rebooting the MCU. And My Time to Shine recently said that the characters of Iron Man, of Steve Rogers, and of Natasha will be recast for the reboot. Now, the whole idea here for this soft reboot is essentially going to have a new MCU with some actors replaced, some actors staying around, and you're going to have this new cast of Avengers able to interact with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. So this will be the Marvel Universe as it was always intended to be, like as it is in Marvel Comics, with none of these characters sort of hidden from licenses, none of them belonging to other studios, everybody at home at Marvel Studios. And I think this will include Tom Holland Spider-Man. A lot of rumors that it's also going to include Tom Hardy Venom, and it's possible that Sony and Disney have come to some kind of a long-term arrangement when it comes to the Spider-Man character. But regardless, that is really interesting. It suggests that the old school MCU actors like Chris Evans, like Robert Downey Jr., like Scarlett Johansson, they'll probably come back for some kind of a role in Secret Wars, but I would imagine Secret Wars is going to be some kind of a closing of the chapter for all of those characters as well. And it'll be really interesting to see who could be the new Tony Stark. You know, a lot of people think it's a crazy idea, right? That Feige would bring Robert Downey Jr. back as Iron Man. And I get why people believe that. But for me, it's an even crazier idea that he would recast Iron Man. He has always said that Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. No one else could ever be Iron Man. Like, he has said that repeatedly. So either way you slice it, it seems like something is changing over there, because they're bringing Robert Downey Jr. back for Secret Wars. I still think there's an outside chance that Downey could stay as Tony Stark, just moving forward within the MCU. You never know, you know, things change. But for now, My Time is reporting that the plan is to recast them. So that's just really interesting to me. I would love to know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. That's all for this video. It's a chunky one, so let me know what you think. We'll talk about this on streams for sure, so come on over at the live streaming channel. We're also on Kick and Twitch and even just Twitter now streaming, so you can catch us all kinds of places. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.